Alright, in this video I'm going to talk about why I think a book can be the absolute best sales asset in your business for any kind of coach, consultant, expert, anybody who has clients. This is not a defined 5 reasons or something. I'm just going to riff. I've written 4 books myself. I've written numerous books for other people. Now my opinion is slightly biased because I have an offer where I write books for people, but I don't think that makes it not true. So I'm going to just riff. I'm going to tell you about my own experiences. This is all firsthand. So the first book I ever wrote was way back in 2013. It was a fitness book when I was in the fitness industry. The benefits that I got from writing that book at the time was, first of all, I didn't really think much of this, but when the book came out, and especially when I saw people like from my hometown and family and friends, people that I didn't see regularly, everyone was like, wow, you published a book, that's amazing, you must be so proud. To me, I was just like, I just wrote a book, it's not that big a deal. But apparently it is. It got so much respect from people, from family, from friends, from acquaintances. It's something that people hold in really high regard. And especially nowadays, I think, where there's so much content in the world, everyone's making reels and TikToks and posting. It's easy to make short form throwaway content, but having a long form, thought out, expertise filled document that's 20,000, 30,000 words, people still understand to produce something so large, you must really know what you're talking about. It's a lot of work, a lot of effort to do so. So I think it garners a lot of respect. That's the first thing. The second big thing that I got from that book is we were trying to grow our business by gaining media attention. So this was like before social media was really, how it is now, where everyone lives on there all the time. Because social media existed, we had smartphones, maybe like iPhone 1 or 2. But the way to grow your business wasn't just be on social media. It was still the old world. So we were pursuing, getting in newspapers, magazines, getting featured by journalists. That was our strategy of trying to grow our business beyond our local area. And our business at the time, it was basically a fitness boot camp that we were franchising. And whilst we thought it was this amazing thing because we were so knowledgeable, and it's so totally different to what anyone else is doing in the fitness industry, the reality is it wasn't that different. And the opinion that we were hearing, the response that we would get from journalists and things was, well, it's just a fitness class. And that's like their nice way of saying nobody really cares about this. Why would I want to talk about it? Which, in hindsight, looking back now, I understand. At the time, I was like annoyed. It's like, no, it's the best fitness class ever. But realistically, it's just a fitness class. But when our book came out, suddenly, just a switch had flipped, and all these journalists now wanted to talk to us. They was asking our opinion on the latest news. Can you comment on this? Can you comment on such and such a diet that just came out? Can you tell me about this? And suddenly our book, our business was getting featured in newspapers, magazines, worldwide publications, things that millions of people read. And that was the same business. I was the same person, my business partner was the same person, nothing else had changed. The only thing that had changed was we'd become published authors. So being an author opens doors. It follows on from the first point of the respect that it gets from people. It opens doors and people want to feature you. Now, whether that's for speaking gigs, which we got some speaking gigs off the back of the book, whether it's nowadays for podcasts, whether it's media, people want to talk about the content of a book. It's a natural kind of predetermined, this is my presentation or this is my podcast topic that we're going to talk about. So it makes it much easier to get your foot in the door for those kind of opportunities if you're interested in speaking, podcasts, whatever. And the next thing that I learned from that first book was the actual physical book. You have a book in your hand with your name on it and your photo on the back, is the best business card you could ever imagine, for the reasons that we've discussed. Instead of giving a business card out to someone, you give them your book, and they're like, oh damn, you're an author. Oh, you have this book, wow, I respect you. And you can use that in a lot of ways, like, again, because everything is online nowadays, a networking event and that kind of thing is not what it was back then. But still, you can send books out if you want to get somebody's attention, if you want to offer it to people, say, if they book a sales call, you can send them the book beforehand for them to look at, or you can give it to clients to give to their friends because it's something that people inherently want to share because it's inherently valuable, and it also confers status onto your client. Because think about this, oh, I work with a personal trainer, or I work with a life coach, I work with an accountant. Okay, well done. Or, oh, my personal trainer just published a book. Or my accountant wrote the book on X, Y, and Z. Status. Not only status for you as the author, but status for your client as well, because their friend, their colleague, their peer, whoever that they're talking to, now think, oh wow, they're working with someone at the top of the industry. They're working with a real expert. I want to work with them too. So it's great for gifting, it's great for referrals, it's great as a business card. You know, depending on what kind of situations you're in, depending on what kind of business you're in, will determine how you may use it. But it's a really valuable asset to give to people. Now, moving on to the next book that I published. The next book that I published was, this is the book that I don't really talk about very much. I had a blog back when blogs were a thing. This was probably 2016. I'd recently, for about a year and a half, I'd been traveling doing the digital nomad thing. Now, I was early to that game. You know, everybody nowadays works online, but pre-COVID, not everyone did, and especially like way back 2014, I started. 2014, 15, it was still like very unique, and I would meet people when I was traveling around who were just like backpacking or just on holiday. They'd be like, oh, you know, how long are you here for? I was like, I'm just kind of here all the time. I just travel. Oh wow, that's so cool. How do you do that? Oh, yeah, so I work online. Oh wow, you work online, that's amazing. You get to travel. You know, I have to go back to miserable, dreary England, and you get to just like stay here. That's the best thing ever. Right? You don't get that reaction nowadays, but back then, that's how the world was. So I wrote a book, which was just detailing my experiences of being on that journey for the first year or so, and some of the stuff that I'd learned. And it was presented on my blog, which I lightly monetized. I wasn't making a living from my blog, I was working on other stuff, but I'd lightly monetized it and had a reasonable little following. I kind of wish I'd not closed it down. I wish I'd carried it on. Just morphed it into, I had a YouTube channel which I also closed. I should have carried on with the YouTube channel and morphed the blog into like more of a social media thing, or like nowadays I write on Substack. So in hindsight, it was a mistake for me to close that down, but that's another story. I published that book, and I probably only sold a few dozen copies because the only way that I was selling it was either people found it on Amazon or they found it through my blog, which was SEO based. I wasn't running traffic to it or anything, and it wasn't my main business, so I didn't have loads of traffic. But what I found is that people that came through that and people that had read that book, it had this really deep connection where they knew so much about me, not just about my story, but also the way that I thought about the world. Because when you write a book, you're presenting your values, you're presenting a thesis on a topic of whatever it is you're talking about, which really gets across how you think about whatever it is you're talking about. And I think because it's such a coherent A to Z document, it's different than just a YouTube video or a social media post or a podcast episode, even like a Joe Rogan 3-4 hour podcast. It's not an A to Z of your whole worldview. It's, you jump in one episode, you're talking about one thing, and the next episode, you're talking about another thing. It doesn't all quite tie together in the same way. So when somebody understands, or when somebody has read your book, they really understand your worldview in whatever the topic is you're talking about, which, whilst I didn't have loads of people read that book, the people that did were like so bought into my worldview. They resonated with the way that I saw the world so much, and they would say things to me. I'm like, that sounds like something I said. I'm like figuring out a minute or two later, like, that is something I said. They're literally repeating back to me the things I wrote in my book. So the lesson from that is, and this will come up again when I come on to the next book, the amount of knowledge transference and values transference that somebody gets from reading your book, it conveys such a massive amount of buy-in. Now, obviously not everyone's going to resonate with your book, but if they resonate with your ad, your marketing, your sales page sufficiently to go and buy the book and actually sit down and read it, because I'll tell you, the truth is 75% of people that buy a book, especially if it's a digital version, probably never read it. That's just how it is. But you still get all the other benefits, the fact that they know you're an author, that still have that position in effect. But if they actually do sit down and read it, which are the people that are the most engaged, the people that are the most bought in, it like just accelerates that journey of them buying into you. They fully understand your worldview on the topic of the book. So they're the best people to have as clients, or whatever it is. I didn't use that book in a business context, but if you are using it in a business context, to have your prospects read your book, and then they're going to come and they're going to book a call with you, and then it comes like, I know about your program, I know that you do X, Y, and Z, I've heard your stories, I've seen how you went through this journey, how you've helped all these other people, just tell me how much it costs, can I give you money? They're the best calls, which I'm going to come to in a minute. So that brings me on to the third book I published, which this book was when I'd taken my business online. I was now partnered with my old business partner from the bootcamp business, and we'd both taken our fitness business online, doing coaching. He'd moved to Spain and Italy and Malta and different places in Europe. I was traveling around mostly in Asia, Thailand and Bali and stuff. And people started asking like how we were running our coaching business online and what have you. So we started a business coaching, business mentoring for Fit Pros. And at the time, he had started the business first himself, and then he invited me in to write the book first of all. At the time, it was probably like a low six-figure business, maybe did 120, 140 grand a year. And we wrote that book, and then off the back of that book, we built what became the Institute of Fitness Behavior Change, which became a 7-figure a year business. And the book, first of all, we probably sold less than 1,000 copies still, but definitely more than most books sell. The average non-fiction book sells 200 to 250 copies over its lifetime. We definitely sold a lot more than that. Maybe we did sell over 1,000, I'm not sure. But the people that came in, as I already discussed, they come in, they read the book. We're positioned as leaders in the marketplace because business coaching for fitness professionals is one of those things, for whatever reason, that loads of people want to jump into when they know a little bit about marketing. They want to go and teach personal trainers how to set a business online, because I think a lot of people are into fitness, so they like the industry. It's more sexy than I'm going to teach toilet cleaners how to grow their business, or whatever. Fitness is an industry that people like because people like fitness. But there's so much competition, loads of people jump into it with like very little experience, and there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of kind of, not necessarily scamminess, but people over-promising on stuff they can't fulfill on because they don't actually have any experience. And by writing the book, it immediately separated us from all of that noise, because almost nobody else who was our competitor had written a book. Maybe like one person had. So we were immediately elevated to the top of the marketplace because we're the experts. We wrote the book. We introduced a new concept, which was behavior change coaching, to the industry. Prior to that time, the industry was basically like just workout plans, diet plans, go and do it. And we made mindset, and we took a lot of things from like life coaching and the change process, behavior change, and we mainstreamed it into the online fitness industry. And to the point that nowadays, I had a call with somebody a few days ago. He just started an online fitness business like 6 months ago, and he had content. He'd started to write a book. That's why he was talking to me. He had content in that book that was our content from like 2018 that we introduced to the industry. Now, he'd never heard of me before. He'd not read that book. He didn't even know of the business that we used to run. But it made it into his book that he was now talking about 7 or 8 years later. So our concept had made such an impact in the industry, partly off the back of the book, partly off the back of the business that we built. So there's a level of influence that publishing a book generates, and obviously that's a level that the idea goes beyond you, where they don't even know where the idea came from, which is actually very humbling and a lot more powerful. Like, that meant a lot more to me than if somebody come and tell me, oh, I read your book and I thought it was amazing. Like, the fact that he was using my concepts that we introduced to the industry and he didn't even know it had come from me, that like really hit home. So the amount of influence that it brings, but you dial that back one level to where they do know that it comes from you. Obviously that confers a lot of benefits for your business. Other stuff I learned from that book, there was one guy who became a friend and a client. He bought the book, he stayed up all night and read the book in one sitting, and then was chasing us around the internet, messaging us, did our application form and tried to book a call, was chasing us around like, I want to join your program, messaged like 3 different platforms. I want to get into your program, I've just read your book, how much does it cost, let me in. And he was just like, I don't care how much it costs, here's my credit card, just tell me how I can join. So when somebody goes through your book, and again, not everyone who buys the book or not everyone who sees the book is going to resonate on that level, but for the people that do, it accelerates the sales cycle so much. They have so much buy-in to your story, your process or methodology, that they're just throwing money at you. Don't care how much it costs, how can I work with you? Because you're the guy you wrote this book, you're the authority, I'm so bought into your process, how do I give you money? So it's an amazing pre-selling tool for people who are coming into your higher ticket programs. Another thing that we did with that book, and we kind of not that we stumbled on it, but we didn't realize what we'd stumbled upon. So we did a book funnel, which at the time was like a Russell Brunson style book funnel, where you have the book and then you have some upsells in the funnel, and you can run traffic to it, and you make sales not just of the book, but then you make sales of the additional products as well. And we did that, and it was kind of haphazardly thrown together. The way that I do it nowadays is you have the book, and then the book is an A to Z system of, how you do whatever you do, which in the case of this book we're talking about was how to run an online fitness business. The book covers everything, right? But then you have strategic upsells in the funnel, which is not stuff that's missed out of the book, because then people don't feel good because it should have been in the book. Why are you now charging me extra for this other stuff that I need? It's not a nice feeling. You're not really kind of giving the value that you're promising from the book. So it's not something that I would ever do. But what you do have the opportunity to do with the upsells is give them stuff that still is within the confines of this A to Z system. It's not outside of it, because then that's just adding additional stuff that's probably beyond the level of where they're at now and is overwhelming. So you've just told me about this and I tell me about something else, like I'm confused, I don't know where to start. So you also don't want to go to like different stuff. It's, here's this system I've already told you about, you already bought into it, you can go and do it, you've got all of the information that you need to go and do it. But if you want to get there quicker, if you want it to be easier, or if you want to get there with more certainty, then here's some additional products which you can pay a little bit extra for, and it's going to get you better results, quicker results, easier results, or you can get there with more certainty. So I'll give you some examples. My book, that I'll talk about this book in a minute, but my fourth book, the one that I'm selling now, is the Authority Book Method. It's how to write a book and sell it, use your book to get clients for your coaching consulting business. The book is the A to Z system of how to write the book, produce the marketing materials, sell it through the funnel. The first upsell is the actual, all of the tech, which is a good 20 to 30 hours of setup if you know what you're doing, and probably at least a month's work if you have to build it from scratch, if you somewhat tech proficient. If you're not, frankly, it'll never get done, and you have to end up paying somebody another $1,000 or more to do it. You can have all of it. I'll give you it. It's all templated out. You just need to remove my book picture and input your book picture. Remove my headline and input your book headline. All the automations are there. The delivery of the product is there. Everything that you need to be able to sell your book. So I'm going to give you that because it's going to be a lot easier, a lot faster, and it's more certain because this is the proven system. I know this works. You can, rather than having to build it all from scratch and figure out how the hell to build a funnel, how to do the integrations with your email, how to deliver the product, how to make sure nobody steals the product, how to deliver the different bonuses, different upsells depending on what people have bought, all of these techie stuff. Don't need to do any of that, it's done for you. Just pay me a little bit of extra money, your life is so much easier. And then the next upsell is, okay, you need to write copy to sell the book, and if you're going to run the full funnel, you're probably going to try and sell it to cold traffic, which is much harder than selling it to your warm audience, your email list, your social media, people that already know you. You come out with a book, it doesn't need like a huge sales pitch for people to want to buy it, because they're already bought into you, they're already following you. You come out with a book, they're going to want to buy it. But if you want to take it to expand your marketplace, to bring in lots of new leads, then you need to start to cold traffic, people that don't know who you are, people that have not heard of you. That is a totally different kettle of fish, because you've got a couple of seconds to draw someone in, have them hooked enough that they want to read on, And at any moment, there's another reel, another TikTok for them to go and watch, immediate dopamine release, something stimulating for them to go and see. They're just itching to click away. So if you don't hook them in and keep them engaged and have them slipping from one line to the next, reading through your page, oh my God, yes, I need this, tell me more, then they're going to go, and you're not going to make sales to cold traffic, or at least not at a cost that is reasonable. So the copy is outside of the scope of what would be in the book, but is pretty essential. And you could go and hire a copywriter, but it might cost you a few $1,000, depending on how good they are. Or here's my trainings, 8 modules. I'm going to take you through A to Z, how to write copy. I'm going to make it specific for how to write copy for the book, but this is also training and skills that will benefit you in every single email, every single social media post, every single thing you ever create from here on until the end of time. So you see how the upsells are strategic stuff that have a lot of benefit for the customer. And the benefit for you is if you want to run paid traffic, it might cost you $25, $30 to sell a book. I just launched my ads like 2 days ago. Sales are coming in at £23 per book, which about $27, $28, something like that. Now that's not optimized, so it will go down, but it's also not at scale. So it will go back up because that's how Facebook ad works essentially. You test a bunch of stuff, you figure out what works, and that will bring the costs down as you keep tweaking and improving and find, okay, this headline's better than that one, this image is better than that one. That will bring the costs down, but then the cost grows exponentially as scale. So the difference between selling 10 books versus selling 100 books, it's not 10 times as much. It might be 25 times as much because of the economy of scale. It will pick off the people that are easiest to sell to, the people that are most in the market, that are most bought in. It will sell to them first, and then as you go into wider and wider markets, people who are less your perfect avatar, people who are less hot, who just like to buy stuff, lots of different factors that go into it, but essentially as you scale, it costs more. So if you want to be able to break even or even make a profit off of a $5 to $10 book, you need to make more than $5 to $10 on average per sale, which means you need to sell other stuff than just the book, which is where the upsells come in. So right now my average order value is $38, I think, something like that. Again, not optimized, that will go up over time as we tweak it and as we improve the, no, that's not the average order value. I think the average order value was 24, sorry. Which is, because I'm right now spending more than I'm making. As we optimize, that will go up and it'll get to a point of break even or better. That's only possible because you have those strategic upsells. So all of this is a long-winded way of saying you now have a product that you can go and sell through paid traffic at scale for a net cost of $0. So rather than I'm going to spend $10 to give somebody a lead magnet, which is just a video or a cheat sheet that they're never going to look at, it doesn't make much impact on them. I'm actually going to, for a net cost of $0, going to go and put a book in somebody's hands, or digitally, or send them a physical book if you want it, just that complicates a bit with shipping in my view. But put a book in their hands, which positions me as an authority, which if they read, they're getting massive buy-in, totally pre-sold on wanting to work with me. They're going to see me as an expert and an authority in the marketplace. And I can do that for net $0 cost, which means if I spend $100 a day and I make $100 back, then I can go and spend $200 tomorrow and make $200 back. And at some point it will break because there's a ceiling on scale. But depending on what your market is and how big the market is, in a big market like fitness, you could get to spending $1,000 a day and making all of the money back the same day. You can bring in dozens, hundreds of leads a week, and a percentage of them are going to want to go and book a call, straight away, maybe 5 to 10% will book a call straight away because they're interested in working with you. Another 10, 15, 20% will book a call at some point in the future from your follow-up, from your emails, from putting them into a community, a Facebook group, a school group, or whatever platform you want to be on. And you're going to be able to monetize them for your high ticket program and obviously make a lot of money, where instead of having lead costs and then trying to monetize that on your high ticket program, your first high ticket program is 100% profit because you've already liquidated the ad spend on the front end through the products, through the book and the upsells. Now you can go and take this book and scale the amount of leads coming into your business at no cost, 100% profit on your high ticket programs. Now that's a little bit more advanced, and not everybody wants to do that when they're first writing a book, but it's possible. The next thing, and sorry I didn't finish the story, getting a little bit lost. So we discovered this, we did this, and our average order value was like $70 or something. But I was too unaware. This was like 2018, I think, when we launched this book. 17, 18. I was too unaware of the economics of it that I didn't understand how valuable that was. Had I understood it, our business would have grown so much quicker if we just pumped money back into getting more customers, if we'd optimized the process, if I'd understood that the upsells need to be the thing that makes it easier, faster, more certain, rather than just haphazardly kind of throwing stuff together, which is what we'd done. I almost found, it's like the meme of the guy digging for diamonds and he's like that far away and then he turns around and goes the other way. Like that is what it feels like. And only later, having grown a bigger business off the back of the book, slowly, did I realize, at one point we were spending £30,000, like $40,000 a month on ads to get people to join our Facebook group. We could have, a worst case scenario, spent that much and made half of it back selling the book. They would still have joined our Facebook group and we'd have been $20,000 better off. Next up, this book that I'm releasing now, the Authority Book Method. What I've realized here is this is a brand new business and it's a brand new offer. I have written books for people in the past because after we published our book, other people wanted us to do theirs, which I did a little bit of, but it took a long time because it was a little bit, I knew how to do it, but it was kind of not very systemized. It was a lot of work, which is why I stopped doing it. In the process of having to take all of the knowledge and condense it into a book, into a format that somebody who knows nothing about this can read in 100 pages and then they're going to understand how to go and do it themselves. It condenses your thinking and it molds your thinking into such a way to present this in such a tight system that it's, first of all, really good for tightening up your messaging and knowing how to present what you do. It's really good for developing process and structure. If you're in a place where you're trying to scale your business, but it's all a little bit manual, it's all kind of just in your head, and it's all a little bit like, okay, this person came in and I think I need to do this, and that person came in and I'm doing this, and it's not consistent what you're doing, you're always going to struggle to scale because nobody else can fulfill that. Only you can. Whereas when you put it into a book, it forces you to systematize it so much to be able to produce the book, which is what I help people do if I'm doing the book for them. Your business is now super scalable because that you could basically give your staff the book. Here, go and read this. You now know how to coach my clients or how to run my systems. And obviously there's additional training and stuff because you want your coaches to have a deeper level of knowledge than you need your clients to have. Clients just want to be told what to do, whereas coaches need more background, more understanding. So it's not literally that simple as just here, read my book and now you can go and fulfill my program. But in terms of the structures, in terms of the systems, it is. So it will force the systemization of your business, which will make it much more scalable, allow you to be able to run it either in a group format or somebody else fulfilling, which will allow you to scale your business. Because if you're stuck, especially if you're doing one-to-one, but even if you're doing a group, if you're stuck in fulfillment, doing a few calls a week and then answering questions in your community, responding to people's emails, etc., messaging people, DMing people, it does get in the way at some point of you being able to grow the business. So it's a forcing effect of systemizing and being able to grow your business.